Welcome back, and you are still watching NTV Weekend Edition. Welcome to Talk of the Nation. Now, Parliament will on next Wednesday formally adopt the new national budget for the financial year 2023-2024. Now, the 52 trillion shilling budget has seen the bulk of allocations going to pay back long-term loans. However, there had been an expectation that the budget would go further in stimulating the economy for the small and medium enterprise sector. So how will the sector thrive in the fiscal year ahead? Well, we sought the view of John Walgembe, the Executive Director, Federation of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises. Welcome to Talk of the Nation.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to join you on the Talk of the Nation.
Well, talk to us about what the winning parts of the budget are for the SMEs.
Okay, so firstly, we are dealing with a budget of about 52.73 trillion. We know because since the Public Finance Management Act of 2015, the budget is approved before, so by the time the minister reads it, we have an idea what's allocated where. There has been a raise. Initially, what had been approved was 49.9 trillion, but then it was raised because some agencies had made some errors or they wanted more money here and there. So government is continuing to invest in the same programs that it's working with under NDP2. Particularly for SMEs, we are talking about programs that deal with human capital development, health, education. We are dealing with agro-industrialization. We are dealing with private sector development, among others. And then we're also dealing with manufacturing. Now, for SMEs in particular, we focus on private sector development. Under here, government is pretty much doing what it has done in the past, recapitalizing the Uganda Development Bank, recapitalizing the Uganda Development Corporation. The government is also investing in the famous parish development model. Government is also allocating money towards the Myoga. So we think government is pretty much doing more of the same. It's maybe the parish development model that's still in its formative stages that we shall assess over time.
And is this a win for the SMEs?
The parish development model? Definitely, because it's creating a customer base. We want more money, more people to come in the money economy. If they actually come in the money economy, it's a good thing for the SME sector. Now, of course, we have a lot of views on how and what are the teething problems and stuff like that. We feel there has been a lot of focus on the financing part, and they have ignored all the other pillars of the PDM, which is a pity. And I hope that during this financial year, the PDM can be made more holistic in terms of implementation. So the focus is not so much on the 100 million that's going to each parish, which is not even enough. It's more, we look at it as being more of a catalytic kind of fund. Yes.
As you have highlighted the wins from the budget that are available for the SMEs, I would like to flip it the other side. Yes. What are some of those aspects in the budget that you feel did not work well for the SMEs?
Well, we want government to invest more in productive sectors because it's those that are going to help government to earn more money. We feel, yes, there have been some cosmetic cuts here and there, but we don't think they've gone far enough in order to be very impactful.
Do you think they have not allocated money to the productive sectors? If you're saying that you want them to invest more in productive sectors,
sufficient. Sometimes there's a misallocation, for instance, and I don't really want to appear to be extremely critical. If you look at the whole issue around industrial parks, at this point, how effective are they? I don't really think they are. We'd rather focus on one or two or three and make them work, than try to spread ourselves thin. So it's these kinds of things that we think would have been improved here and there. But I think overall, the budget is consistent with what is in NDP2. Our concern is not so much the budget, because the budget is really more of an aspiration. It's more the implementation, because if you say one thing and then you're not really implementing, that's where the challenge comes. And I think that's why I would ask government this time around to ensure that they are more effective in implementation.
Well, there was a long plan,
yes,
for stimulating, the economy and the business environment through lowering the taxes, especially following the end of the COVID-19.
Yeah.
Did the government meet this?
No, in fact, government is just increasing, because now government wants to collect about 28 trillion domestically from about 25. So it means businesses have to really, I don't know whether it's called tighten their belts or pulling up their socks, whatever it is. URAs, we are going to be on their doors to ensure that they contribute their fair share. But also asking of URA, please let businesses contribute their fair share. It's not about hitting targets. You know, you shouldn't squeeze businesses more than is necessary. If someone ought to pay 200,000, let him pay 200,000. Don't say, okay, let's make an assessment of 20 million, hoping that he'll pay 500,000 instead of 200. I don't think that's the correct approach. So for us, we are saying, please support businesses to pay their fair share. What has he earned? What should he pay legitimately? Once he has done that, let him go, allow him to go and work so that next financial year you find him alive. But if you squeeze him so hard and he closes, it means you lose, we all lose, you know. So I think that's my appeal to URA and to government in general.
And it's good you've highlighted actually that URA, the tax collector, we are in a tough tax regime.
Correct.
And what should a business anticipate coming the next fiscal environment?
No, try to put your house in order, because you know it's really tough. Now there's IFRIS. You can no longer hide and say, I didn't earn any money. IFRIS will report you, know. So, and if you get out, if you say, I don't use IFRIS, then you won't do any business. So I'm just urging small businesses, please try to engage the taxman. It's difficult, but you must. If you can't, get professionals who can support you. Get a good lawyer, get a good accountant, because you will need these people in order to ensure that your business remains afloat.
So what about the debts that were held by the government to the many, SMEs in the economy? Can we expect any relief in the coming financial year? So
generally speaking, government has taken a very positive stance towards paying SMEs. You know, even previously, even when they are paying domestic carriers, they tended to prioritize SMEs. See, so this is a good thing, and I think it should continue. I think there's a small amount of money that has been provided to clear domestic carriers in the budget. Our appeal is that SMEs should take priority. This issue of having this issue, it's about 500 million, which is low, which is really low in our view. It should be more. But the point being, SMEs should be prioritized. This issue of having one domestic person who is demanding maybe $1 trillion or 500, I think those government can deal with separately. But with these kinds of small amounts that are being availed, SMEs should
when you talk about prioritize, in what sense? When it comes to
the money is little, but what we are saying, as the finance ministry and as the accounting officers pay off debtors, but people who are demanding money, they should ensure that SMEs are paid first, because SMEs have limited cash reserves. You know, you don't want SMEs cannot loan money to government, which is the current situation, and then government is not paying interest. At the very least, government should change and say, if you don't pay an SME within 2 or 3 months, then you put interest, because that's business. So that's why we are appealing to government, please pay these guys early, so that, because at the end of the day, you'll also pick some of this money through pay-as-you-earn, income tax, and so on.
Yes. Now, there had been an expectation that with funds put more into the parish development model, this would somehow, expedite growth, since, the economy, mostly, the most enterprises spring up from upcountry. Do you agree with this notion?
No, I think that's not true.
What then is true?
80% of business activity in this country is in Kampala and in Wakiso. Okay? So if you want to have short-term gains, that's where I focus. I think government's looking long-term. How do you grow businesses beyond this area? So it's a long-term sacrifice. But in our view, we think as you sacrifice and try to support people to come in the money economy through the PDM, you shouldn't forget the businesses that are actually operational, that are actually contributing to your resource base. You see, so it shouldn't be we either do PDM or we ignore businesses. I think we should try to prioritize both. So PDM is a good model. It should be implemented well. We think there's a mistake at the moment. They're simply prioritizing one pillar, which is financial inclusion, which is a mistake. It's making people to misinterpret the entire program. People should promote the other pillars because they're important. Issues around market access, issues around mindset change. And who should change the mindset? Should it be public officials change the mindset, or it should be the public officials whose mindset should be changed first? You know, so those are things we need to discuss, so that we are not fixated around this 100 million, because it's not enough anyway. So if we don't address this challenge, I think PDM may be derailed. Yes. So
what advice would you give to someone who maybe whose business is now stuck in debts and in this very tough tax regime? What advice would you give them for survival?
I think try to minimize risks, and risks may come through excessive debt distress. You've taken on too many loans that you can't repay, and therefore you lose your business. The other risk should also come around issues around compliance. URA comes and says we are demanding you 1 billion shillings, and you're like, oh, I can't continue. So try to minimize risks. That's what I would say. If it means negotiating with a bank, negotiating with URA, explain to them what your situation is and trying to reach some kind of accommodation, you'd rather do it. But in such a situation, you want to minimize risk so that your business remains a going concern, because that's the most important thing. Yes. So
a year from now,
yes,
where do you see the economy and the future of the SMEs?
So I think, generally speaking, we are seeing recovery. Let's look at inflation. There's a time during this year when inflation was double digit. It's now back to single digit, thanks to the very aggressive and tight monetary stance of the central bank and other changes in the global arena. So what we are seeing is a slow but positive change, and SMEs and other people running businesses ought to have hope. Yes, it's difficult, but it's better than the situation we are in 2020, 2019, so things will keep on getting better. Not as fast as we would like, but they will get better, and we must keep hope alive. Yes.
Okay, so as we get to conclude this conversation, what do you think can be done to strike a compromise between the government's need to improve the economy and the SMEs need to grow into viable businesses?
So no, I think it's we share the same objective. Government wants vibrant SMEs because government wants to ensure that there are jobs for young people. Government wants to ensure that there are companies that actually pay tax, you see. So government needs to know that when you have a vibrant SME sector, it's good for the economy. And as you seek to grow the tax base, as you seek to do all these things, please ensure that the SME sector is growing, because it is the hen that lays the golden egg.
Okay, thank you so much, John Walugembe. He's the Executive Director, Federation of the Small and Medium Scale Enterprises. Well, we now take a break, and we'll hear from the world of sport when we return.